Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of True Crime and Wine Time Live. I'm JT, and I'm here with a guest host.
Yes, it's Llama, your friendly neighborhood llama. It's me.
Your friendly neighborhood llama, producer, all the
hats.
I actually I changed the name in the top because obviously we had a change in host, and I was like, do I put llama? Do I put producer Tara? Which one? You know, are you PT Barnum? Because you really have to deal with this animal. I don't know.
I mean, the initials fit. PT, producer Tara.
It's right. Yeah. I mean, do you feel like you have to wrangle a circus?
Yeah, some days. Some days it's like wrangling the monkeys together or the lions.
Some days she's just got to pack us up into cars and ram a train. Just all right. That's not at all the right thing to say. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome in. Come on in. It's comfortable in here. It was a lovely temperature today in our area. Were you Ohio gray?
No, we had sunshine today, but we've had numerous gray days already. So today was a beautiful day, actually.
I think last week on the Hey Ho show, you and Ryan willed warmer weather to come back.
We did. I think so. We had enough of it. Wrote Mother Nature an angry letter.
Right. I want to speak to your manager, damn it.
Exactly.
And turns out her manager is just Tim Allen as Santa Claus.
Actually, I think I'm the manager, so it's just me complaining to myself.
Captain says, if she's Barnum, I just hope I'm not the whale.
Well, Kennedy's not here, so it's fine.
Well, so tonight we're going to do the usual. We're going to go through some news stuff, some crazy news that we've pulled. We are also going to get into mafia crimes, which is going to be good. Now, I will say this, Tara's article, initially written and recorded by Cam from our True Crime podcast. She's been kind enough to allow us to still use the script, even though she could not be here. She had some family stuff going on. Therefore, family first. That's how we always are. And Tara said, okay, I'll join, I suppose. Maybe.
I hope I'll do it justice.
So you'll be wonderful. But I do want to recommend, if you are a podcast person and you like true crime podcasts, our True Crime podcast is wonderful. They've been out for a while now. They've got a wonderful following. They just did a trip with some fans of theirs to Scotland, I think, in England, and I think they're doing another one again. But Jen and Cam are just the most wonderful people in the world. Great, down to earth. I love them. I've known them since 2019. So I cannot speak highly enough of them. So check them out, our True Crime podcast, literally everywhere you find podcasts. So that's my plug. I'll try and do it again if I remember at the end.
Somebody that doesn't have a trip for us to Scotland. I'm just saying.
Oh, so sorry. Let us get to 1,000 first, please. Good grief. All right, so we're going to go through some stupid stuff.
Just got an awesome face paint job. What do you think?
I like turtles. Really, sometimes I don't watch I don't watch the news.
Because we see this dude every day. I mean, every day.
I didn't make this kid pass out on my floor. People wanted to be.
Oh, it's just like, dude, you get the best barrels ever, dude. Just
Customer out here, what's the best kind of firework to buy?
Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
Where are your parents?
The best firework is one that goes boom.
Awesome.
Dude, do we need anything else? I'll get us started. The Independent reports that a mom and son use their real estate business as a front for their pretty woman prostitution empire, cops say.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Really? For
Family
sure.
business.
Here, I'll show you their pictures real fast, just so everybody has a glimmer of mom and son.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm not quite sure how to feel about it. It evokes some really odd emotions that I would like to just drop and then it's so weird. So weird. Okay. So anyways, Florida man and his mother jointly, of course it's Florida, jointly ran a sprawling prostitution ring for nearly a quarter century, washing hundreds of thousands of dollars via various front companies and real estate purchases, according to police, who nabbed the pair as they allegedly prepared to flee the country. Based on intelligence gathered, this is from a probable cause affidavit. Oh, that would be fun to read for the transcript. Based on intelligence gathered and evidence obtained from records, there is reason to believe Margareta von Lambert is using her Florida realtor's license to facilitate the laundering of illicit proceeds for her son, Christopher Jelavic. I guess Jelavic. So many of the escorts working for the mother-son team were actually registered as real estate agents and had valid real estate license. This, by the way, this affidavit is 103 pages.
Ooh, I'm gonna make a note of that now.
You should. Thank you. Lady in Gray said real estate agents in quotes. So the son is 48. The mother, okay. If I know we don't like to play this game, but if you had to guess an age on that woman, what would you guess?
54.
Older.
Really?
Yeah.
64?
Keep going. Older.
She's more than 64? Wow. Okay.
She is 70 years old.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of work.
That's amazing.
Prostitution rings really pay, apparently. Wow. So they're both detained on felony charges of money laundering and deriving support from the proceeds of prostitution. And if they come up with bail money, 6-figure sums for each, the two will have to prove to a judge that the funds are not linked to any illicit activity. I don't think they can do that. Von Lambert's husband, Joseph Fordyce, who is not facing criminal charges but is named in the affidavit, said he wasn't ready to talk about the case. He said, quote, "I think it's premature to discuss anything." Poor word choice. I don't want to comment. Another person who was involved in the construction business but not involved in the crime ring mentioned in the affidavit said, "I can't talk right now. Call me some other time." As he sat there with, 5 of the escorts. There's no attorney listed in court records. She's unavailable to be reached for comment, obviously. The mom's lawyer did not immediately respond for a request to comment. They went into business in 2000. They've been targeted by investigators multiple times in the past, but have never been prosecuted until now. Their primary company, Pretty Woman Escorts, offered Latin American and European women, that screams trafficking, for $300 to $400 an hour.
Wow.
The website says good things come in tiny packages. This tiny 5'2" Colombian is waiting for you. What is happening?
Wow.
What is happening? Okay. Well, they've got a website and it's still up. That's fascinating.
And there goes your algorithms.
Yep. That just all messed up. Captain said, and here I thought real estate was a good business to be in. I mean, it sounds like it was for $300 to $400 an hour. Sure does. Let's see. Here we go. A third escort says on the website, "Do you have a desire for a woman who will mesmerize you, allure you, and invite you with her touch, charisma, charm, intelligence, and sensuality?" Sounds like the intro to Drag Race. I make it a mission to ensure the time we spend together will make you forget about the outside world.
Ooh.
The-
The way you read
yeah,
that.
the business was. I don't know how I read it. How did I read it?
Just in a very deep, sultry voice. That's all.
Sultry. I've never been convicted of having a sultry voice in my life. The business was hidden behind a front company, Boca Art Studios. According to the affidavit, a law enforcement review of Von Lambert's bank records showed large deposits from Boca, as well as money coming in from Social Security, the affidavit states. Checks written against the account showed various payments for vague purposes, such as, quote, home remodeling, loan for construction, IPH school refund travel expenses, and multiple checks for bathroom remodeling, according to the affidavit. I'm trying to see if there's any numbers. Von Lambert advertised herself as a real estate broker, artist, and designer, showing works on her website with names such as Homage to Picasso. Homage to Picasso. Is that her? One moment, please. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The Sun purchased millions of dollars worth of real estate through Von Lambert, but employment records showed an income of only $3,000 per quarter.
Wow, buddy. Wow.
There's a lack of financial transactions or real estate activity. A team of detectives from Broward County, of course it is, tailed a Brazilian woman being driven by her husband from Pretty Woman to the next outcall appointment, according to the warrant. It says that they pulled up to an upscale condominium complex on a golf course in Pompano Beach shortly before 9 p.m., and the sex worker entered a ground floor apartment while her husband waited outside in the car. One of the detectives got out, walked toward the back of the building where he was able to see in through the curtainless windows. He watched as the male subject began massaging the female's head and sniffing her hair. After a few minutes, he directed the female to the bedroom after she took blah, blah, blah. We all know what the rest of it is. Another officer on the scene spotted an exchange of cash between the buyer and the escort. You know, one of those guys got the short end of the stick on what they saw. I'm just tossing that out there. Let's see. I'm not going to read through all of this. I was trying to see if there was like a total number or something, but there isn't. It's unclear how authorities kept the Sun and Von Lambert off of the flights they were going to be getting on, but the Sun was arrested September 11th, Von Lambert on September 12th. They were both ordered to turn in their passports. They're scheduled to be arraigned October 2nd, which was yesterday.
Ooh.
I wonder if there's an update. I don't know. But anyways, mom and son. Yeehaw.
Well, that is a
Oh,
duo
man.
right there.
Do you want to go? Do you want me to do another one?
Oh, sure. I can go. I'd be more than happy to.
Okay.
All right.
Yay.
So mine is about a weirdo, and I'm going to call him that because it's weird. So my article checks out is voyeur caught hiding under vehicles at car wash to stare at women's feet. Because of course somebody was. Yep, this guy. So a 28-year-old man from Arizona, Jesse Michael Johnson, has been arrested again after allegedly hiding under women's vehicles at a car wash to stare at their feet. Johnson, who has a history of similar offenses, yes, again, not one time, not two times, by the way, as we'll learn, but no spoilers. Johnson, who has a history of similar offenses, faces charges of voyeurism and disorderly conduct, according to authorities. The incidents took place at a Superstar car wash in Gilbert, Arizona. In each case, women were vacuuming their SUVs when Johnson parked next to them, crawled under their vehicles, and remained there for several minutes. Surveillance footage.
Did he just like?
Go ahead.
Did he just like go? Like slide down his seat and underneath the car? Like, how does that work?
It's not his first time, so maybe.
Right? You can't set at a car wash. There's probably a drier place.
Right. I mean, we're okay. Surveillance footage captured Johnson in the act. He only emerged from under the vehicles once the women had nearly finished vacuuming, then casually returned to his car, pretending to clean one of his tires before driving off. One of the victims, Chanel, said she was in shock when she realized someone was hiding under her car. At what point you can see his head pop out on the driver's side looking up at me, she said. He could sell shoes
No,
or
sir.
be a podiatrist. He could. But also, do we want him to be? Like, I don't want my podiatrist having this sort of thing going on there.
No,
Chanel,
thank you. I think it's really funny that sorry, I think it's really funny that he was kind of like caught, but then he was like wax on,
nothing to see
wax
here.
off. Nothing to see. Just your feet. I mean, nothing to see.
So Chanel also mentioned that all the women involved were wearing flip-flops and shorts, suggesting a pattern to Johnson's actions. The incident has left her traumatized and experiencing nightmares. Yes, because I get at nighttime, I am always paranoid that somebody is going to be under my car or in the back seat. Like, I'll check both numerous times because I always am like, the thought of somebody grabbing your ankles terrifies me. Like, even when I'm in bed, I don't have like an underbed, right? It's just my mattress and the floor.
Right.
And I still am like, oh, something's going to grab my feet.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that childhood like monster under my bed come to life.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
So,
yes, this,
Johnson got him in trouble.
So this is not Johnson's first offense. No. In 2016, at the age of 20, he was cited in Nebraska for hiding under a woman's car to touch her feet. At that time, Johnson admitted to being sexually attracted to women's feet and claimed he could not control his impulses. Authorities said this was the 4th time that year he had been cited for similar behavior. Huh. So he's been doing it for a while, and I don't think he stopped between 2016 and 2024.
Can't stop, won't stop. Jeez.
No,
just
weird.
You know what's funny? Like, you ever go to those vacuum after like a car wash, right? When all the cars have been sprayed with like wax and all that, and then they get dried, they get like, rinsed off, and they come out and you park. Have you ever like you get back in your car and your feet are slippery because of all the stuff that's been on the floor? Like, that's what he was laying in. Like, I mean, well, yes, commitment. Can you commit to something better, please?
Right? That's gross. I saw a couple of weeks ago, I saw a car wash, but they didn't call it a car wash, right? They called it an auto spa. And I was like, I hate that. Why? Why? My car doesn't need to go to a spa, okay?
Just call it what it is. Call it what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll do one more, and it won't be the one. I'll save it for Hey Ho Show. It's more Hey Ho Show anyways. So this is from the Economic Times. Yeah, this is from the Economic Times in Dubai. And if you know about Dubai, there's a lot of money in that country. And a lot of people with that money. And so, please don't hold your fellas up to this standard. But apparently, a Dubai businessman purchased a private island for $50 million to ensure his wife feels safe on the beach.
$50 million. What?
Sudi Al-Nadak, I think it's Nadak, is a 26-year-old housewife and social media influencer. And she shared the news in a viral Instagram video captioned, "Point of view, you wanted to wear a bikini, so your millionaire husband bought you an island." She's originally from the UK, married to a Dubai businessman, Jamal Al-Nadak. The couple, who met while studying in Dubai, have been married for over 3 years. She's well known, frequently sharing her life on social media. Oh boy. One of her posts shows the couple buying $1 million diamond ring and investing in $2 million artwork pieces in a single day. The video about the private island, blah, 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 blah. They don't have the exact location because, of course, she's faced criticism on social media, though, with some accusing her of showing off. No shit. In response to the backlash, she said, "I don't understand why I get so much hate, as I just like to share my lifestyle with everyone." Okay. So, like, you'd think... Like, my brain says, like, it's either really, really not comfortable in Dubai, right, to wear something on the beach. I don't really know that culture too well. Or you'd think, Well, there's some kind of a reason, but I just can't see a reason why. Like, I mean, there's a
Because they
filter involved
can.
in this picture.
Because
but
they can, and I
yeah, I
hate
guess
that.
so, because they can. They just Moulin Rouged it because it can.
Nice.
Yeah. Bells said, "What? This hasn't happened to you all? Well, I've had a couple of islands bought for me. All right, we need to talk." Yeah. I'm
Right?
gonna
I
let
need
you
your
wrap
playbook,
this up with
Bells.
your second. Yeah, right. Playbook for sure. Chapman said, "I think I'll steer clear of men with private islands."
That's also a good point. Also,
Nicely
a good
said.
point.
I'm gonna let you end with this one because I'm sure there were gonna be some jokes.
Oh, yes. So we went from feats to beavers. So a judge rules Nibby the orphan beaver can stay with rescue team. Quote, "We should all be on the same team." Now, I included this story because it's cute and it's about a beaver. So Nibby the beaver, a social media sensation for nearly 2 years, will stay with her rescue group for now. The orphan beaver was taken in by Newhouse Wildlife Rescue in Sturbridge, Massachusetts at a very young age and has grown up there. Look at how cute. Look at how cute Nibby the beaver is eating that pumpkin. Adorable. Mass Wildlife is pushing for Nibby the beaver's return to the wild, stating that wild animals like this one belong in the wild. So there is a fight going on over what should happen to Nibby the beaver right now. So authorities claim that Nibby the beaver is rehabilitated enough to return to the wild. Quote, "The role of licensed wildlife rehabilitators is to care for sick and injured wildlife so that animals can be released back into the wild as soon as possible. Newhouse Wildlife Rescue was informed in June that the beaver is healthy and must be returned to the wild in accordance with their permit and state regulations." So that's like a fair point, right? Like, okay, that's your job. That's fine. However, Newhouse argues that Nibby the beaver is accustomed to life at the facility and releasing her could risk her survival, which is like important, I think.
Kinda.
I mean, that's their mission, right? So they quoted, "No one from Mass Wildlife has ever met this beaver. We tried to make Nibby releasable, but Nibby is going to have to figure it out for the very first time. And with it being October, if Nibby doesn't get it right the first time, I don't think she's going to make it." Which I agree. Poor little Nibby. We expect her to like build a dam in like a week. This is not a superhero beaver. And if it is, it shouldn't go in the wild.
Just a beaver in a cape.
Just a cape. With no agreement in sight, the courts have stepped in to decide Nibby the beaver's fate. An injunction was filed against the state, which resulted in the issuance of a temporary restraining order on behalf of Newhouse from Associate Superior Court Justice Kathleen Campbell. So she writes up this order prohibiting the removal of Nibby the beaver from the rescue and or releasing her back in the wild. So a hearing, though, is scheduled for tomorrow, Friday, October 4th, which will determine Nibby's fate. So hopefully Nibby can stay with them, but we'll see tomorrow. So while the restraining order is a good start, it does not mean that Nibby will be able to stay with Newhouse much longer. Newhouse shared that they are completely heartbroken over the entire situation and that everyone should be working together. Quote, "I shouldn't be working against the state to try and save an animal, especially a keystone species. We should all be on the same team." Newhouse has shared a post regarding their stance on the situation, which reads, "Don't touch my beaver, #Nibby strong. Thank you all for your support in keeping Nibby with Newhouse Wildlife." So
#take me on a date first.
I don't know if we should tread the water of #don't touch my beaver, but genius, whoever
I
that is.
mean, might be worth it. Might get some traction. Our target audience tends to prefer suggestive hashtags. I don't know.
I think they should let the beaver stay through the spring. I mean, it sounds like it's a domesticated beaver.
That it cooks and everything. That is a grown-ass beaver. Let the beaver make it up its own mind. I'm saying.
My beaver, my choice.
We promised we wouldn't get political here, okay?
That's true. That's true.
Hello. Thank you for catching a live. Good to see you.
Welcome.
Hold on, follow-up question. Where's the Queen tonight? The Queen is in Nice, France.
Yes.
So, tough life.
Super tough.
She's working.
Not jealous
She's
of
working.
her at all in the slightest.
No, never. Not at all. All right. Well, that does it for ridiculous news. We're going to talk about a little bit of what we are drinking, and then we're going to get into Tara's case first, and then me second. And would you like to talk about what you are drinking?
Well, I just poured myself another glass, so I might as well. Tonight, I'm finishing off my birthday bottle of Tequila Mi Campo. Boom, which is not much left.
Tequila Mi Campo.
Tequila Mi Campo. And some strawberry margarita mix. So left over from my birthday last Friday. Finish them off tonight. So it's not wine. I apologize. I know it's true crime and wine time, but I can't let the margaritas go bad. So
I don't have any wine with me tonight. You know, I was like Mafia, something like I was looking. I don't have any bourbon, but I would have done that or something. That being said, I found something. I've never had this before. Wicked Grove hard cider. It's pear secco. I was like, that sounds fancy. Why not? We'll give it a shot. Really, what it is 4 cans of PBR and then this. But
is it good?
It doesn't even smell. I haven't tasted it yet.
Oh,
it smells weird.
It smells weird. Isn't Prosecco like something else? Like a dessert wine or something?
Well, it's like they're doing a play on words, pear secco. So it's like a.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Pear secco. Okay.
It's all right. There's not much to it. Not much to it at all. Anyways, that's what it is. Nothing special tonight. Before we do get into the cases, just want to let you know, although less tonight, for the most part, the episode contains graphic content, adult language might not be suitable for all listeners. Probably should put that in the beginning instead. But here we are.
Too late, buddy.
Really need to add that to the old opening video. But anyways, yeah. So let us know what you think about the cases as we go. And we may or may not be able to read them out. It just kind of depends. So I leave it to you.
Okay. So the case I'm covering tonight is written by Cam from our True Crime podcast. So I hope I do her justice here because it's pretty good. So it's a pretty good story. So let me take you in to the story. So the mafia, the mob, the family. It has many names, but only one thing this organization is concerned about: money. This long-standing group has members from the streets hustling up to corrupt government officials. In the neighborhoods they run, they are feared by some and adored by others. This family follows a set of rules demanding loyalty to each other above all else, including, well, your own family. To break these laws not only goes against what they stand for, but it very well may cost a life or two. After all, someone must pay. The American Mafia stems from the immigration of Sicilians and other Italians in the 1880s. Along with their luggage and families, the men brought their mother country's mafia code with them to the East Coast, along with other parts of the country. When Prohibition started, the mafia saw a cash cow and acted accordingly. Members could sell illegal liquor to speakeasies. They dominated the scene and made sure they had a hand in it all. Sorry. Commotion in the background. Just a second. It was during this time that 5 families were fighting for control in New York: Charles Luciano, or Lucky, was the first boss of the Genovese family, and he had an idea. He wanted the mafia families to agree to share power and improve activities for the entire country. Hence, the commission was born. The commission was established in 1931. But
The commission.
I mean, it sounds pretty official.
It does.
Pretty
Sounds
official.
like a movie that would involve Leonardo DiCaprio.
I mean, yeah, they should make that movie. So, and directed by Martin Scorsese, of course.
I mean, yes. I mean, I guess the consideration here, though, for Leo is that this story technically is over 17 years old, so he's probably not into it.
Stop it. That's hilarious.
Slapped with a lawsuit for slander. Here we go.
All right. So the commission was established in 1931 and was initially run by Salvatore Maranzano, who gave himself the title boss of all bosses. That didn't sit well with Lucky, so he orchestrated Maranzano's assassination because, of course, you do. The new commission was made up of bosses from the 5 New York families, along with Al Capone from Chicago, never heard of him, and Stefano Magaddino of the Buffalo family. Much like a big corporation, the commission runs like a board of officers. The members acted as representatives for their families too, bringing their concerns to the attention of the rest of the commission. The money-making schemes, as well as assassination attempts, had to go in front of the commission to be approved. So you're just going up to these guys being like, I want to kill this guy. Can I? Like they're your parents.
Yeah, right. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of House of Dragons, where they have the table, right? And they all make the decisions at the table.
Yes.
That's pretty much what this reminds me of, right? And might as well just have like Two-Face flipping a coin to say yes or no. So
pretty much, right? Oh man, that's just really funny to me. This organized crowd, like we have rules. Speaking of rules,
right?
There is a set of rules.
Yeah.
Actually, that must be obeyed, and failure to do so, well, it's the mafia. What do you think is going to happen? So these are the rules of the mafia. Number 1.
Are you going to read it like a mobster?
Like, how does that? I don't know how that would go.
Oh, you know how to do it.
I don't know about that. I'm going to pass. This time around, just put me on the spot there. And I'm only on my second margarita, sir. I guess I should have switched spots, and then you probably would.
Apparently,
but all right,
should have been under your car while you were vacuuming it.
Use my New Jersey accent. It's been a while since I've had to bust that out. I don't want to be that offensive over here, because it's really offensive to the whole state of New Jersey. Like no one, it's not good. All right. Forget about it. All right. Number 1, no one could present himself directly to another of our friends. There must be a third person to do it. I don't know what that means.
I think that there has to be like a third person between family and non-family.
No,
like there has to be another family member to introduce non-family to another family member. Like almost like it's like an immediate, like he checks out kind of a situation. That's what it sounds like.
I thought it was more like when they introduced like kings and queens, like now presenting to you, producer Llama here. Like I thought maybe that's what, like you have to be announced by somebody. At all times. I mean, maybe that's just what I want. I don't know. Number 2. Never look at the wives of friends. No. Number 3, never be seen with cops. Number 4, don't go to pubs and clubs, which is confusing for me because they kind of ran pubs and clubs. So that's interesting.
But they only went to collect. Right? Like they only went to collect.
I mean, a lot of them ran strip clubs and stuff. So,
well, did they, or did they have somebody else do it for them?
I'm basing a lot of my knowledge off The Sopranos. So,
That's fair. That's very fair. I'm good with that.
That's good job. Good job. Number 5, always be available for Cosa Nostra is a duty, even if your wife's about to give birth. So
it's a very specific. That's one of those rules where you know something happened, and they had to make a rule about it. Even if your mother's dying, you're coming to our business.
you see, and you wanted me to do an accent. You're so much better at it.
I'm just open to offending people. That's all.
Number 6, appointments must be respected, or you have to pay a $200 cancellation fee. Just kidding. I got that part. Number 7, wives must be treated with respect.
I feel like that's subjective on their
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. I'm giving a look. For those just listening, I'm giving a look. Like, sure. Sure, buddy. Number 8, when asked for any information, the answer must be the truth, unless it's the cops.
Right.
Because that outranks number 8. So,
right.
Number 9, money cannot be appropriated if it belongs to others or others' families. Number 10, people can't be a part of Cosa Nostra. Anyone who has a close relative to the police. Oh, I read this wrong. I'm sorry. Let me start over again. Number 10, people who can't be a part of Cosa Nostra. 1, anyone who has a close relative to the police. 2, anyone with a 2-timing relative in the family. 3, anyone who behaves badly and doesn't hold to moral values. So
what they really mean is anybody we don't like or we decide is any of those things.
Right. Forget about it.
Forget about it.
So
you come
with these rules, there were some other unspoken rules, such as no facial hair, which I wonder why. No blood for blood, meaning you can't kill someone just because they killed your family, unless, of course, it was approved by the boss. And, of course, all must be Italian to become full or maid members.
So I wonder if the facial hair had something to do with you could do something with a beard and then shave it off, and they would have a hard time figuring out,
right? What is
maybe identity
with facial hair?
I don't know, because Italian men are notoriously hairy, so not quite sure.
Right.
Just tossing that out there. Yeah.
But now you think about it, like I've never seen any of them with any facial hair before.
Nope. Not really.
Okay, where were we? Let's see. There was also a whispering that all men must like the ladies, but we will get to that after a bit of background. The Big Five ran New York City, but there was another family that ran New Jersey. The Big Five were Gambino, Genovese, Lucchese. I don't know if that's how you pronounce their last name, but I just like that it was cheesy at the end, so I just went with it. Colombo and Bonanno, and the family responsible for handling affairs nearby in New Jersey was the DiCavalcante crime family. This also happens to be the rumored family that The Sopranos is based on, with lots of similarities.
I'm going to make an admission. When I was initially kind of going quickly through the script, I read the sentence with the names, and I could have sworn I would have bet my life on the fact that last name, Bonanno, was actually inserted by Cam as a joke, and it was not.
No. And Lucchese, it could be.
I'm guessing it's Lucchese, but who knows?
Well, Genovese, but they end kind of the same. So, but whatever.
They do. I guess it depends. It depends if they had a pizza place or not.
Maybe. All right. So the Jersey organization started with Sam DiCavalcante, known as Sam the Plumber and the Count during his reign. He doubled the number of made men within his family during the 60s. He gained his nickname from the HVAC company he owned and ran, which of course was how he hid his illegal money. Sound familiar, Sopranos fans? I think this was a trash company, but
it was, yeah.
Close enough. He also claimed to come from a royal Italian family, hence the Count. It was a big deal because he ended up with a seat on the infamous commission next to the Big Five.
He was the inspiration for a one, aha, ha, ha, a two, aha, aha, aha.
Aha. That's funny.
Aha, aha.
So when DiCavalcante did a prison stint and was older, he appointed Giovanni John the Eagle Rajay as the acting boss of the family. Rajay was tight with the Teflon Don, John Gotti, and during the mid-1980s, Rajay fell increasingly under the influence of Gambino crime family boss, John Gotti, who we've all heard of, John Gotti. When Rajay's conviction for racketeering, he appointed John DiAmato as acting boss of the family in 1990. Here is where our story begins. So that was just a warm-up into some history of the mafia. We're going to talk about Johnny Boy DiAmato. So when Johnny Boy DiAmato took over, he continued to do what he knew best, murder. Oh, you know what I forgot about? Sidetrack. I forgot I had a hat for the show, but it
Look
doesn't
at that.
fit over my
Oh, no.
headphones. So I did forget. I did bring my mop hat.
You did bring your mop hat. Here,
Anyway.
here. I'll do the ear.
There you go. You're gonna be a newsie, and I'll wear my.
I'll be a newsie. I'll run your street business. It's fine.
Okay. We'll wear silly hats.
Here we go.
All right. So he was a tried and true gangster, just like John Gotti. Both men were a bit flashy, and both knew what it took to get to the top and remain at the top. Man, this hat just makes you feel like you can read better.
Doesn't it?
It does. What is that about? Anyway.
How do you think I read this? Or I wear this for the transcript.
I know. You're like, I feel official with this hat on. Look at me.
Feels real.
Look at us. All right. John DiAmato was not well liked in the outfit. He was a hothead and did just what he wanted. When Johnny Boy disappeared one chilly day in January of 92, people wondered if he went with Luca Brasi and was now sleeping with the fishes. Uh-oh, we know what that means. Elizabeth and its twin city, Newark, located in northern New Jersey, has long been a town with a rough side. With its roots as an industrial city, the scenery is a bit bleak, with refineries spitting smoke into the air. In the Petersontown area, you will find one of the oldest Italian communities. Just like in The Sopranos, their streets are lined with Italian meat markets and Italian bakeries.
Yeah, the meat markets, yeah. Okay.
Sorry. That's so funny. All right. Johnny Boy may not have been well liked, but with a friend like John Gotti, few would speak up. Like they say, it is better to be feared than respected. With Johnny Boy at the top, he made sure to secure his leadership with great power below him. Johnny's childhood friend, Anthony Capo, was a soldier for the family who did the work that is in quotes for the family. He did the wet work, as it is called, meaning he killed those that crossed the family or ones that just needed to be taken out. Anthony would not only use a gun or knife, but use whatever weapon was closest, like a fork, as the story goes. Well, as the story goes, one evening when he was chatting up a lady at a bar, a man approached and started hitting on the lady. Anthony tells him to get lost, and the man snaps off using some choice words. Anthony picks up a fork and shoves it in the man's eye. Yikes. Anthony was cruel and cold and willing to do whatever was needed.
It reminds me of the scene with Jack Nicholson in The Departed, where he just was like, give me a shoe. And then he took the shoe and just bashed his broken hand. Leonardo DiCaprio's.
Yes.
Are you a rat?
What a good movie. I might watch that.
Oh, I love that movie so much.
It's so
I
much.
think so too.
It's so good.
I did a whole media study on it for undergrad.
Did you? I mean, that's
I loved it so much. I'd have to tell you, it's interesting what we kind of discovered, although we're also thinking too much about it because that is just like art. Continue on,
Right.
sorry.
No, you're good. I'm just fixing my hat over here because it was all, I don't know what's going on with my hat.
Lady in Gray just said, I bought the Godfather trilogy Blu-ray box set. I don't know why. I do.
All right.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
what?
we got a pew pew.
Oh,
Thanks for gifting a True Crime and Wine Time membership.
pew
I
pew.
surely appreciate that.
It's very nice of you. Oh, that rhymes.
A whole bunch. Yeah, right. I gotta figure out. Hold on, I gotta get out of here and figure out who got it. I'm just gonna make a decision on the fly. AP Amy, if you could take a look on the YouTube channel and just put in the private chat who picked that up, I'd love to say welcome. Thank you.
Bienvenue.
You're not beautiful.
I guess a different kind of story than the ones we're covering tonight.
Just a little bit.
There's no Nazis in this one.
No,
know.
and it's way too soon. Too present day. Oh, Belle's got it.
Oh, Belle's.
It's too soon, as in, hopefully it's not a precursor. All right.
Okay, so Anthony was cruel. He was a jerk face. Another man under Johnny was Stefano Vitable. Stefano was old school. He had been in the family for a long time and had seen his share of going on. He never wanted to be a boss. He was content to be the man that was sought for advice. He was in control of what went down and how to do it. He was the brains.
Ah.
The biggest feather in Johnny's fedora was a man by the name of Vinny Palermo, who went by Vinny Ocean due to his day job at the seafood market called the Fulton Fish Market.
Did he have 11?
11.
12,
or 12
13.
or 13.
Right.
We just keep adding friends. Vinny was a good-looking guy with manners and charisma who slung fish by day and slung wiggles at night.
But
Wiggles is a strip club, and Vinny owned and operated. I thought they weren't allowed to be in bars and clubs. Pubs and clubs.
I guess if they're making money, it's fine. I don't know.
As if he is not busy enough, he also masterminded a scheme just like the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort did. The old pump and dump, which is having people buy stock quickly and fast, making the price go up. Then when it is high, they dump it. Those would have a lot of stock and earn a killing off this. It is also illegal, by the way. Oh, thank you, Lady in Gray.
Thank you for gifting a membership, and welcome officially to the Vineyard, Buffy.
Ooh, Buffy. Fantastic. All right. With those four running the New Jersey show, they will do fine. They will do just fine in business. I mean, that's quite the group that Johnny Boys put together here.
Yeah.
They got the brains, the bronze, and they have a friend that owns a strip club. So what more do you need?
Right? They are living life.
In their personal lives, they were doing what most of the made men were doing. They had a lovely wife and beautiful children at home, which is where they stayed when the gentleman went out on the town with a girlfriend or several girlfriends. Johnny Boy was no different. Enter a woman by the name of Kelly, or that is what she went by in court. Kelly said that Johnny Boy approached her at a bar one night and ever so confidently said, "Here is the place. And if you are interested in me, you will be there. No need to exchange numbers." How suave is that?
That's exactly how I picked Carrie. I picked Mrs. Bruce Crime up.
I'm sure.
No, it's not. It's called Facebook Messenger. Zing.
Anyway, that is very suave of Johnny Boy there. Of course, 20-year-old Kelly was curious and she showed up. From there, the relationship grew. Johnny Boy spoiled her, but there's always a price to pay. Kelly would have to be available for Johnny whenever he wanted, and she would have to do whatever he wanted when he wanted it.
Creep out factor.
At this time, Johnny Boy was living high with a young beauty on his arm and an endless amount of money. He was wheeling and dealing at casinos all around. He liked to be noticed, and all that attention was not lost on the FBI. So he began to
The
follow
police.
him and videotape him.
Oh.
That silly FBI, that meddling FBI.
I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for your meddlesome kids.
Johnny was convinced that his car was bugged and made sure those who were in the car with him were silent. His paranoia was ramped up when his mentor, John Gotti, was arrested. When Johnny went to Kelly's apartment in October of 92, he was panicking, saying the FBI had him on tape and that he was leaving town. When he left Kelly's apartment, he was never seen again. What year is this, Belle says? 1992. We're in 1992. All right. So what happened to old Johnny Boy? At first, associates just thought he was hiding out from the FBI. But after a year passes, people start to think they smell a rat. See what I did there? Rat, mafia, clever.
Hey.
Hey! What do I look like, a clown to you?
Hey.
With the boss out, someone needed to lead, and that role went to Vinny Ocean. Vinny would now run the Cavalcante family. Vinny would take his new position and run with it, earning more and more money with all the things that made money. Schemes. All was going great for the family until one of the low-level soldiers got caught up in a scheme, and this led him to commit the biggest mistake for a family member, to become a rat. To save his own behind, he agreed to wear a wire for the FBI. I just want to go back to rule, I think it was number 8, where you always tell the truth.
Yep.
Okay?
Well, you're also supposed to not know police, you know?
Well, that's true. Don't talk to them, I suppose. Rules that out. With all the evidence...
They point out that rule to him, and he's like, they weren't the police. They were the FBI. How was I supposed to know the FBI was the police?
Fair
Boom.
point.
Snitches get stitches. Correct.
Or sleeps with the fishes.
Ooh.
All right.
Ooh, or gets buried in ditches.
Or gets buried in dishes. Look at us creating a poem. With all the evidence this wiretap provided, in the fall of 2000, the indictment started flying. In all, the FBI arrested nearly 40 members, including Johnny Boy's top 3, boss Vinny Ocean, Stefano Beatable, and Anthony Capo. Could Johnny Boy be the rat that helped the FBI net the entire Cavalcante family? Ooh.
Bells or get horse heads in bed. Yes.
So with all these men behind bars, the prosecutors needed testimony. They needed them to squeal on each other, but we all know that is not likely since that goes against the code. Then again, I guess they made him an offer he couldn't refuse. Oh, they made him an offer he couldn't refuse. There you go.
I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse.
Perfect. Nailed it.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Hitman Anthony Capo would sing like a canary, telling all their secrets, because of course he did. From murderers to schemes, he told them all they ever wanted, as well as things they never knew. He was only the first one. Most of the underlings fell in line and all folded like a cheap Italian suit. To many's surprise, Vinny Ocean caved too. They just don't make him how they used to. They just don't.
Nope. Sure don't.
Only old schooler Stefano and 2 soldiers stayed true to the oath. Of course, the brains. Stefano was the brains, the wisdom. He knew what was up.
Yeah.
On April 21st, 2003, the trial against the 3 remaining men began. While they faced charges ranging from loan sharking and racketeering to murder, it was one murder in particular that would be a shock in the courtroom. Of course, there were plenty of murders that could be attributed to the Cavalcante crime family, and one had all ears listening: former mob boss Johnny DiAmato. That's right. Bum, bum, bum.
Gasps in Spanish.
It was childhood bestie hitman Anthony Capo who told the tale on the stand. Capo relays a story that had many raising their eyebrows. Seems that mob men shared more than just illegal cash scams, like Kelly. Kelly, who was Johnny Boy's sweetie, was also dating another man other than Anthony Capo. So Kelly's all in everybody's business.
Literally.
Right? One night back in 1991, Kelly told Anthony that Johnny had a kink, and that was sex. Well, sex in groups and with other women and other men. Seems that the couple regularly visited after-hours sex clubs where they participated in some fun. However, one night, Kelly lost Johnny in the club, and when she went looking for him, she got an eyeful. Johnny and his new friend were, shall we say, playing the skin flute, a bit of Peter piping, if you will.
You know,
Shades of Diddy, says Nanar. I mean, yeah, history repeats itself, does it
listen,
not?
Johnny had a huge craving for the upside down pineapple pizza.
That's true. Oh man, I never thought about upside down pineapple cake before. About that. Anyway, back to our story. Anywho's, Anthony testified on the stand with this. As I stated before, one can simply not take out a made man without permission from the commission. As they talked, Anthony Capo and his crew decided that this was too embarrassing to tell the commission that Johnny Boy was dipping his toe in this other world, a world that the macho mafia men would never approve of. They would keep this under wraps as just a family affair. With Sigliere Stefano signing off on the hit, just like what he did best, Anthony Capo would do the wet work. As is typical for mob hits, often those closest to the hit are the ones that make the hit. Anthony would testify that on that October day, he went to John's house and picked him up under the guise of going to Brooklyn to check on some business dealings. As they arrived, Anthony Capo simply turns around and shoots Johnny Boy in the head. Quote, "Nobody's going to respect us if we have a gay homosexual boss sitting down discussing La Cosa Nostra business," the gunman Anthony Capo testified at a murder trial in 2003. So just, admitting all that. Up next to the stand is Vinny Ocean, who confirmed the story that Anthony just unveiled, confirming that it was Stefano Vitables that ordered the murder of Johnny DiAmato. The jury began to deliberate in early 2003. On June 4th, the jury was back with a verdict against Stefano Vitable and his two soldiers. Stefano was convicted on the count of murder for the death of Johnny Boy DiAmato. Stefano, along with his two underlings, were all sentenced to life in prison. The three of them remained true to the mafia code and sank with the ship, never ratting out the others. The DiCavalcante crew was down, but not out, although the New York families run many of the businesses previously run by the family. In 2015, 10 members of the crime family were taken in by the FBI on charges of conspiracy to commit murder and distribution of drugs. This included the captain, Charles Beeps Stango, and the concierge, Frank Nigro. By the way, the name of Beeps. Beep. That's your nickname you got from your mafia friends.
It's probably because he was just a big dude, and every time he walked backwards, they were just like, beep, beep, beep.
That's funny. Maybe. In March 2017, Stango was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison for conspiracy to commit murder. The claim is that Stango reportedly wanted to get permission from the New Jersey hierarchy to kill Luigi Oliveri, but thankfully for Luigi, the murder was not committed because Stango did not get an answer.
Looks like the facts didn't go through.
Charles Big Ears Majuri is the current boss of the family, starting in 2015 to the present day. Big Ears, like that's the best you can come up with.
I mean, you certainly don't have to guess why he was named that.
No, right? It's not very creative. A little
Oh
disappointing.
no, I just looked them up. You sure don't.
All right, so some interesting footnotes for you. A big-time mafia lawyer was a man by the name of Roy Cohn, who represented dons like Anthony Salarino and Carmine Galliante. He was quite a personality, to say the least. He was at the head of a thing called the Lavender Scare with Joseph McCarthy, targeted government officials and cultural figures not only for communist sympathies, but also for alleged homosexuality. McCarthy and Cohn were responsible for the firing of scores of gay men from government employment and strong-armed many opponents into silence using rumors of their homosexuality.
So, do you know who Cohn was a mentor to?
No.
This is just history. This is not political. Somebody who is running for president.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Interesting.
True story. It's the Roy Cohn School of Business, which is admit nothing and deny everything.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. This Coon guy.
I mean, it's just
sound very great.
That's what it is. Like that's a fact.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Well, another fun fact about Cohen. Oh, he was also gay, but kept that quiet. Convenient. There's a great documentary called Bully Coward Victim, The Story of Roy Cohn, which I have not seen or heard of, but it comes highly recommended from Cam from our True Crime podcast. Although you couldn't be gay and be in the mob operated gay bars and nightclubs, including the famous and infamous Stonewall Inn. The story of Johnny Boy was featured in a Sopranos storyline character named Vito, who was killed after two of his fellow gangsters saw him at a gay bar. That was a very sad episode, by the way. I was very sad when they killed off Vito. Spoilers, but it's been like 20 years, so not my problem if you haven't watched it. And finally, it seems that even the mafia can evolve. The mafia have relaxed their rules to allow gay members, and one of Italy's Godfather's son is a drag queen called Lady Godiva, which is fantastic. Love that name.
Love it!
Quote, gays can be accepted now, even as foot soldiers, so long as they don't parade it in public, Prosecutor Gratteri said. I mean, I guess.
I mean, don't ask, don't tell, I guess.
I guess, right? Johnny Boy's body has never been found, though. So that is the story of
encased in
Johnny
concrete.
Boy DiAmato. What'd you say?
That's a good story. I mean, it's a bad story, but it's a good story.
I thought you said something about Dawson's Creek.
Oh, no, I said he was encased in concrete.
Oh, encased in concrete, not Dawson's Creek. Okay. I mean...
Captain said, let them parade. They do great parades. I agree. They
the
sure
best
do.
parades.
Oh, man. Well, my case, thanks to Lady in Gray, who did the research and writing again this week. Thank you. Like literally a lifesaver. Is about Albert Anastasia. That's right. I said it. That's what he was.
Pretty cool name.
He was born Umberto Albert Anastasio. He was also known as the Earthquake, the One-Man Army, Mad Hatter, the Lord High Executioner, Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Larry, Curly, and Moe. Not the last ones. I think you can. Yeah.
How do you get so many nicknames?
I don't know. It's good.
A lot.
Story was around a while. So let's talk about him. If you don't know who this guy is, just imagine if Tony Soprano and the Grim Reaper had a baby. This man wasn't just in the mafia. He was like the mafia. And I know what you're thinking. Is this one of those charming, well-dressed gangsters we romanticize in movies? No. No and no. Albert Anastasia was the guy the other gangsters were afraid of. And that's when you know you've really made it. So here's the thing. Albert was the head of something called Murder Inc. Yes, they actually called it Murder Incorporated. Like, who are they? A startup? What's their mission statement? Quote, killing people efficiently and professionally since the 1930s? That's... And you know it's bad when they're not even trying to hide it. It's like they held a company-wide meeting and someone said, you know what? Let's skip the fake names. Just call it what it is. Brutal honesty. Corporate America could learn something there.
Why not?
But let's go back to Albert. He wasn't just a hitman. No. This man was the hitman. Like, he took his job seriously. And he's probably the only guy who clocked into work at the Mafia and said, I love what I do. He was feared for being ruthless, yet somehow people kept giving him promotions. And in any other job, you mess up once or twice, maybe you get a warning. In the mob, you mess up, you get, well, you get Albert. He was the HR department no one wanted to meet. Ever. Yes, that's true. Commission was a corporation. Murder Inc. was the subsidiary. Now, his eventual downfall... so the commission was the corporation, and then a subsidiary is underneath the corporation. So the commission ran Murder Inc.
Oh, so this is like the same time?
This is the same. Yeah. There's some doubling up here. I'm going to try and do some scripting gymnastics.
That's okay.
But yeah, so his eventual downfall is spectacular. But before that, he was living it up. I mean, this guy had a barber chair at the Park Sheraton Hotel because when you're the boss of Murder Inc., you need a good haircut. Nothing says, I'm about to do something terrible like getting a clean fade beforehand.
Oh, wait.
I mean, sure, he's ordering hits left and right, but look at the man's hairline. It's impeccable. So sit back and relax, and let's talk about the chaotic, violent, and somewhat bizarre life of Albert Anastasia, the man who treated murder like a 9-to-5 job with excellent dental benefits.
This is amazing. I don't think I've ever heard of this guy.
I had neither. So Albert Anastasia was born Umberto Anastasio on September 26, 1902, in Pargaglia, Calabria, Italy. Sorry if I murdered that. His father was a railway worker who died after World War I, leaving behind 9 children and probably a very anxiety-ridden wife. Albert had 1 sister and 7 brothers, and it was always a wish of his parents to have a baseball team or at least 2 curling teams with an alternative. That last part's not true. In 1919, at age 17, Albert, with his brothers Joseph, Anthony, and Gerardo, illegally entered the United States after they deserted a freighter they were working aboard in New York City. They all began to work as longshoremen or dock workers on the Brooklyn waterfront. Cue Marlon Brando, Godfather 2, you know. If anything in life is certain, if history has taught us anything, it's that you can kill anyone. Or, you know, yeah, his racket. Everybody's got a racket. So let's talk just a little bit about New York in the 20s. The place was the epicenter of art, music, fashion, finance. Basically, if it was happening in New York. 6 million people all packed into one city, buzzing around like a bunch of caffeinated squirrels. Everyone's out there. They're thrilled to experience like this magical cocktail of freedom and prosperity. Women's hemlines were up like they were trying to escape a flood. And waistlines, they dropped. Waistlines were like, see ya. Fashion in the 20s was like, old rules? Nah. New rules? Make them up as we go. The whole art scene was exploding like a piñata full of Picasso paintings. You had there are so many bad jokes. Get ready. You had the lost generation roaming the streets, young artists, writers, intellectuals searching for inspiration, probably also for where they left their keys. F. Scott Fitzgerald, Ernest Hemingway, these guys were out there writing the great American novel. Jazz was taking over the city straight out of New Orleans. And let me tell you, those clubs, they were the kind of places where you could lose yourself for hours, or if you weren't careful, literally lose yourself because nobody told you where the exits were. It was a decade that screamed, we're going to live forever, right before the economy leaned in and whispered, actually, no, you're not. But New York was the heart of it all, leading the charge and making sure everything was louder, faster, and just a little more ridiculous. And for that, we salute you, Roaring 20s, the decade where anything could happen until it didn't. So on March 17th, 1921, Albert, at the age of 19, was convicted of murdering a fellow dock worker, George Torino, after a quarrel. He was sentenced to death and sent to Sing Sing State Prison in Ossining, New York.
Ooh,
Whoa, what a sentence.
That's not a good place. That is not a good
Oh,
place.
no. AP Amy says that her hubby's going to be fact-checking this. Well, I think Lady Ingrid did her work. So due to a technicality, I think it's Anastasia. I don't think it's Anastasia. I think it's Anastasia. Won a retrial in 1922. By this time, 4 of the original prosecution witnesses had disappeared, and Albert was released. Right, Albert was released from custody. The reason for this technicality could not be found.
Oh, I think we all know.
Mm-hmm. So, on June 23rd, 1923, Albert was convicted of illegal possession of a firearm and sentenced to 2 years in prison. In 28, he was charged with murder in Brooklyn, but again, the witnesses either disappeared or refused to testify in court. It's like a movie, or The Wire, or Sopranos, or The Departed, or really anything. It's a trope, you know, in many movies. It's like, I don't know where he went. He just disappeared. Who knows? He went to the casino, and lost his way. He couldn't find the exit. It was during the early 20s that Albert legally changed his name from Anastasio to which was the masculine form of the name, to Anastasia, which is an interesting choice in 20s New York. To be honest, I'm not quite sure the specific reason other than to just be deceptive. In 1937, Albert married Elsa Bargnesi, and they had 2 sons, Umberto and Richard, and 2 daughters, Joanna and Gloriana, which the most Italian names ever, except for Richard, which I just assume it was because he was a little dick. Yeah. So he soon became a top leader of the International Longshoremen's Association, which, by the way, if you're paying attention to any kind of news, that's the group that's striking right now, the ILA. So the International Longshoremen's Association was officially established in 1892, although its roots trace back to earlier efforts to organize waterfront laborers in the late 19th century. The ILA represents dock workers, longshoremen, and other maritime workers, primarily on the East Coast, Gulf Coast, Great Lakes, Puerto Rico, and parts of Canada. They focused on safety, collective bargaining, safe shifts to modernization, as well as progressive environmental initiatives at this point. Now, was which his last? Anastasia was his last name. He still went by Albert. So by the late 20s, he controlled 6 local chapters of labor unions in Brooklyn. He allied himself with Giuseppe Joe the Boss Mazzaria, a powerful Sicilian-born mafia leader in Brooklyn. He is important to Albert's future, as we'll see later. He was also close associates of Joe Adonis, Charles Lucky Luciano, Vito Genovese, Visi, and Frank Costello, all future Cosa Nostra bosses. Remember these names, they all play an important role in Albert's criminal activities. And now for those playing the home game, Frank Costello was who Jack Nicholson's character was named after in The Departed.
Yes.
You know, I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Oh, I'm watching this as soon as we're done.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know what it's on, but I'm going to find it.
All the things. La Cosa Nostra is Italian for this thing of ours, or simply our thing. Nostra translates to our, and Cosa means family or clan. In the U.S., the term was first used publicly by Italian-American mafioso Joseph Valachi in 1963 during the Valachi hearings. And later, the term became popular in Italy in the mid-1980s after Italian mobster Tommaso Buscetta revealed the name to a judge and magistrate. It is also known simply as the Mafia. So we talked a little bit about the Mafia. It originated in Sicily and dates back to the mid-19th century. An association of gangs that sold protection services under basically a big brand. The Mafia's core activities: racketeering, arbitration between criminals, organizing and overseeing illegal agreements and transactions. Honestly, doesn't sound much different than some of the things going on now in various sectors. So each clan or family claims sovereignty over specific territory, such as a town, village, or in a larger city and neighborhood. The members call themselves men of honor, but the public call them mafioso, which is a rough translation of swagger or bravado. So they got that swagger and the moves like Mick Jagger.
Yes, I was just thinking the same thing. That's funny.
Should really scare you that we both thought the same.
Well, it does. But I've been drinking, so it's fine. It makes sense.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. My sober thoughts are your drunk ones.
Yeah.
So with wide-scaled immigration from Sicily into the early 20th century, those organizations soon spread to gangs in Australia, UK, Canada, South America, and of course, the United States. Hold on. I don't like Maroon 5. It's not that I don't like it. Has nothing to do with Maroon 5. It's just quite confusing why anybody would write a song and brag about having moves like Mick Jagger. Have you ever seen the man on stage?
I don't like Maroon 5.
Well, listen, it's like watching a giraffe ice skate.
I do not care for Maroon 5. It's fine. Come at me. I don't care. I love Adam Levine, but
as long as he doesn't open his mouth.
It's fair.
Ever since I started true crime, honestly, I've always wanted to get a musical reference in a script, so here it is. Thanks, Lady in Gray. Albert and the many of the mafia were boosted to leadership positions in various ways. In other words, the folks atop the ladder are the ones the world adores. So boost me up my ladder, kid, and I'll boost you up yours.
Oh, wow.
Does anybody know where it came from?
No.
Chicago. Matron Mama Morton.
I don't want
okay. Fine. In early 1931, the Castellamarese War broke out between previously mentioned Masseria and Salvatore Maranzano. Lucky Luciano made a secret deal with Maranzano, agreeing to murder Masseria in exchange for this. Lucky Luciano made a secret deal with Maranzano, agreeing to murder Masseria in exchange for Masseria's rackets and becoming Maranzano's second in command.
Wasn't that Lucky guy in my story? I think he was.
He sure was, because he was part of the commission.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So on April 15th, 1931, Luciano lured Masseria to a meeting at the Nuova Villa Tamaro restaurant on Coney Island. As they were playing cards, Luciano allegedly excused himself to the bathroom. Albert and other gunmen, reportedly Adonis, Genovese, and Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, had to shove him out of the driver's seat. It appears that the Artichoke King, in fact, choked.
Sorry, that's probably inappropriate to laugh at, but that's hilarious.
Also, what does one have to do to get that nickname? Artichoke King?
I know, right?
Some reports say it was... Yeah, it's true. That's very true. Listen, you know, all the wives were like, "Will you stop comparing your nicknames? Just measure it already." So some reports say it was Costello rather than Adonis who was an accomplice, and many historians dispute the convenience of 4 of the most well-known American mobsters in history being involved in the Masseria murder. By all accounts, however, it was Albert Anastasia as the shooter, along with 3 accomplices. No arrests were ever made in that case.
Wow.
In 1932, Albert was indicted on charges of murdering another man with an ice pick.
Yikes.
But the case was dropped due to what? A lack of witnesses.
Okay, look at that.
Yep.
Seems easy. I wonder what happened to
What a
them.
surprise. I know, what a surprising turn of events, but not really. And at this point, it's kind of predictable. The following year, he was charged with killing a man who worked in a laundromat, but once again, no witnesses willing to testify. That's the issue. See, other than it being a murder of one person, it's not just one person dead, it's tying up loose ends. So Luciano rewarded Albert's loyalty by placing him, as well as Louis Lepke Buchalter, the leading labor racketeer in the country at the time, in control of the National Crime Syndicate's enforcement team, also known as Murder Inc.
What?
It sounds like a totally normal, legal, wholly owned subsidiary of any national corporation. I just want to know, do you think they had merch?
I bet they would now. If they existed today, they'd have a whole line. I'm surprised
Are
there's
you
not
kidding
a
me? At
line.
this point, they'd have an effing podcast. Uh, these men, known as the Brownsville Boys, were a group of Jewish and Italian contract killers that operated out of the back room of Midnight Roses, which was what if I said Midnight Roses, your thought is what is it? What is it?
Strip club.
No, it was a candy store.
What? What? The mob owned a candy store? Okay.
It was a candy store owned by mobster Louis Capone. No relation to Al. Lady in Grey, check that out.
Okay.
And then she was also modest enough to write originally. I checked. I did not check. Lady in Grey did. Credit where credit's due, my dear. In the Brownsville neighborhood of Brooklyn, that's where that was located. During its 10 years of operation, it is estimated that the employees of Murders Inc. committed thousands of murders.
Oh,
Many
yeah,
of
probably.
these, many of these were never solved. During this time, Albert received his nicknames, the Mad Hatter and the Lord High Executioner. You know, he's got a big LHE energy.
Oh, Lord High Executioner. I get it. I was like, what?
So in 1931, the commission, also known as the Five Families in New York City, was established by Luciano to oversee all mafia matters following Maranzano's murder, which most believe Luciano had ordered because he believed Maranzano had ordered to hit on him. So, you know, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. Pya! Second musical. Check. Anyways, as you remember, Luciano had ordered the murder of Masseria at the behest of Maranzano and took control of the Masseria family, and now he turned on Maranzano. There really is no honor among thieves, murderers, racket. You know what? No honor. Loyalty amongst them is about as real as a gluten-free croissant. Thieves trusting each other is like using a colander to carry soup. It's like asking a cat to guard the fishbowl. You're just going to be disappointed. Thieves sharing honor is like a toddler sharing candy. It's not happening unless somebody is watching. Rather than name himself the boss of bosses, as Maranzano had done, Luciano created the commission to give each of the five families equal say in business matters. A democracy with a gun to the head. So more of a democracy.
Can relate.
Can relate. In 1930, God, it's so sad that you can. In 1935, the commission ordered Dutch Schultz to drop his plans to murder Special Prosecutor Thomas E. Dewey, afraid of the law enforcement crackdown that would surely follow. This enraged Schultz, who refused and walked out of the meeting. So Schultz said no, and he walked out of the meeting. Albert approached Luciano and told him that Schultz had asked him to stake out Dewey's apartment building on Fifth Avenue. Upon hearing this news, the commission held a discreet meeting to discuss the matter, and after 6 hours of deliberation, the commission ordered Buchalter to kill Schultz. On October 23rd, 1935, before he could kill Dewey, Schultz was shot in a tavern in Newark, New Jersey, and died the following day.
Yikes, buddy.
They call it loose ends, and I mentioned this before, but maybe it's the first time it's loose ends, but then it's really loose frayed ends. Like you cut the rope and they turn into five frayed loose ends, and then it's like exponential, you know? So on June 7th, 36, Luciano was convicted on 62 counts of forced prostitution, also known as sex slavery. Yeah, it appears Lucky's luck ran out. The trial was prosecuted by Dewey's office with Eunice Carter as an assistant ADA. Now,
he just saved the guy's life.
Right. So what's interesting here is Eunice Carter was quite the attorney. Not only was she a woman, she was one of the first African-American women lawyers in the state of New York and one of the first African-American men or women prosecutors in the U.S.
In 1936, you guys. 1936. Yep. That's amazing.
She was convinced that Luciano was involved in prostitution and built a massive prostitution racketeering case. She turned it over to Dewey and convinced him to try the case himself. One Luciano historian said it was the first case of a major player in organized crime that resulted in a conviction for something other than income tax evasion, which we all know is their downfall.
Every time.
Luciano served, every time. He served 10 years and then was deported to Italy. After his death, however, his remains were returned. Oh, so sad. But he was returned to New York State for burial. In addition, Dewey would capitalize on the publicity generated by the historic, publicized trial. To be honest, Dewey sounds a bit like Harvey Dent. He's not really listed as the inspiration for Harvey Dent, but it for sure sounds a lot like him.
Like a lot. Two-Face.
Right.
It's lucky he's alive.
Happy day. So after Luciano was imprisoned, Genovese became the acting boss of the family, but he fled to Italy in 1937 after being indicted on a 1934 murder. Frank Costello, now became the acting boss of the Luciano family. In May of 1939, Albert allegedly ordered the murder of Morris Diamond, a Teamsters Union official in Brooklyn who opposed Buchalter's attempt to keep control of the garment district in Manhattan. As we know, Buchalter was the leading labor racketeer in the country at the time. In the summer of 1939, Albert allegedly organized the murder of Peter Panto, who I suppose didn't really want to grow up.
Sorry. Peter Panto. That's his real name.
He was an International Longshoremen's Association activist who had been leading a movement for democratic reforms in the union's local chapters. It appears he chose poorly when he refused to be intimidated by ILA officials. On July 14th, 1939, Peter Panto disappeared, was given the captain hook, was shown how to fly, and his body was later recovered on a farm in New Jersey.
I was trying to think of a Captain Hook joke when he said he was the International Longshoremen's Association. I was like, oh, no, stop it. Stop it.
Yep.
Peter.
You knew I couldn't let that go. So in 1941, Abe Reles, a gang leader from Brownsville, Brooklyn, who had been supplying Albert and Murder Inc. with hitmen for a decade. We know about the Brownsville boys, right? Was arrested by law enforcement. This arrest effectively ended Murder Inc. Reles decided to testify for the government to save himself from the death penalty, leading to the conviction of 7 members of Murder Inc. Also had information that could implicate Albert in the Diamond and Panto murders. Fearing prosecution, Albert offered a $100,000 reward for his murder. And that reward today is worth $2.1 million.
Wow. Yeah, that's a whole lot of money.
Yes. It's a whole lot of cheddar. That's not good. Okay. So on November 12th, 1941, Reles was found dead on a restaurant roof outside of the Half Moon Hotel in Coney Island, where he was being guarded in a 6th floor room during an ongoing trial. In 1951, a grand jury ruled that Reles accidentally died while climbing down to the 5th floor using sheets tied to a heating radiator. But many officials were convinced that he'd been murdered. Why would they think of that? So they couldn't prove it, or they wouldn't prove it?
Because that makes sense.
Yeah. In the spring of he fell down the stairs. In the spring of 1942, Albert allegedly ordered the murder of Anthony Romeo, an associate who had been arrested and questioned in the Panto killing. In just a few months, at the end of June, Romeo's body was discovered near Giancourt, Delaware. He'd been beaten and shot multiple times.
Jeez.
Yeah. So during World War II, Albert schemed to win a pardon for the imprisoned Luciano by helping in the U.S. war effort. The U.S. needed allies in Sicily to advance the invasion of Italy, and the U.S. Navy wanted to dedicate its resources to the war overseas and not on the security of the coasts and ports. Albert arranged a deal to obtain lighter treatment and an eventual pardon for Luciano in exchange for the Mafia's protection of the waterfront and Luciano's help with his Sicilian associates. So I read that as, we got in bed with the Mafia.
Yeah.
And apparently Kelly, because Kelly was really popular. I don't know.
And Kelly. Call back. Call back to Miss Kelly.
Right? In 1942, Albert joined the U.S. Army, most likely in an effort to escape the criminal investigations that were bringing down Murder Inc. Honestly, probably should have just run for election instead, less being shot at, maybe. He reached the rank of technical sergeant, and he trained soldiers to be longshoremen at Fort Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania. In 1943, as a reward for his military service, he received U.S. citizenship. He received an honorable discharge a year later, moved his family to a mansion in Fort Lee, New Jersey, across the Hudson River from New York City.
Oh.
In 1945, and I'll talk a little bit about the mansion at the end. It's got a cool story. Unfortunately, it's no longer there. But in 1945, U.S. military authorities in Sicily returned Genovese to the U.S. to be tried for the 1934 murder of Ferdinand Boccia. However, all charges were dropped against Genovese when all of the main prosecution witnesses had died.
Of course.
And in the words of Aladdin's Iago, there's a big surprise. I think I'm going to have a heart attack and die from that surprise. I can't do that character. I wish I could. I don't want to wake up the whole house. In 1946, New York Governor Thomas E. Dewey, remember Dewey?
Yes.
That's right. He's the governor now. Commuted Luciano's sentence. Yeah, and the federal government at once deported him to Italy. Dewey also ended the jail terms of 6 other convicts, and they were all deported as well. Better out than in, I suppose, like the morning after a few regrettable decisions. In 1948, Albert bought a dressmaking factory in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and left his waterfront activities in control of his brother, Anthony. In 1948, the U.S. Senate summoned Albert to answer questions about organized crimes at the Kefauver hearings. What were the Kefauver hearings? So, in the years following World War II, organized crime had gained significant power in the U.S. Maybe it's because they used them to protect the ports, particularly in cities like New York, Chicago, and Las Vegas. There were Viva Las Vegas.
Mhm.
There were concerns. That is not in the script. I had an impulse and regret going through it. There were concerns about corruption within law enforcement and politics, as well as the criminal involvement in interstate commerce. You don't say. One of the most significant aspects of the Kefauver hearings was that they were among the first congressional hearings to be nationally televised.
Oh, wow.
Over 30 million Americans tuned in to watch those hearings, which
Oh, wow.
captivated the public. Yeah. And it brought the issue of organized crime into the national spotlight. And we're not talking about, is it Kefauver? Oh, hold on. Lady in Gray gave me the pronunciation. Kefauver. You know what? Hook it on Pahonics. Work it for me. So the hearings famously featured testimonies from a number of high-profile criminals and mobsters, like Frank Costello, Meyer Lansky, Tony Accardo. Some refused to answer questions invoking the Fifth Amendment, while others provided evasive or incriminating statements. Albert didn't answer a single question and was one of those people who invoked the Fifth. After all,
Smart.
his concern with rats would be rendered moot if he was a rat himself. The hearings also revealed extensive corruption within law enforcement, exposing connections between politicians, police officers, organized crime figures. It highlighted how local law enforcement... No, nothing has changed. Not one thing. Local law enforcement in many areas had been compromised by bribery or intimidation. It's just easier to hide now, which is funny considering, the massive spotlight with social media and everything.
Yeah.
So despite being a mob power in his own right, Albert was nominally the underboss of the Mangiano family, reporting to boss Vincent Mangiano. According to during his 20-year rule as boss, Mangiano had resented Albert's close ties to both Luciano and Costello, particularly the fact that they often obtained Albert's services without first receiving Mangiano's permission, which you just don't do. This and other business disputes led to heated arguments that often led to near physical altercations between Mangiano and Albert. On April 19th, 1951, Mangiano went missing, and his body was never found. The same day, the body of Mangiano's brother, Philip, was discovered in Jamaica Bay, which is in the Bergen Beach section of Brooklyn. No one was ever arrested in those murders, but it was widely thought that Albert had been killed.
What's his body count at this point? This is wild.
Honestly,
I mean, we got more
trying to
murders,
think.
so it's fine. We can come out at the end, but
Well, we do for sure. Did Lady in Gray, did you ever find like a total on his stuff?
sure, we had the research in
If
the
you have
chat.
it, you drop it in the chat. A lot. She said a lot. Yeah. So
Oh,
Albert, who is now the acting boss of the Mangiano family, then met with the commission, claiming that the brothers wanted to kill him, but he did not admit to killing them. With Costello's prodding, the commission confirmed Albert's ascension as the boss of the now renamed Anastasia family. Costello wanted Albert's confirmation as boss because he wanted Albert as an ally against the ambitious and resentful Genovese. Joseph Bonanno, who also supported Albert, but his interest was simply to avoid a gang war. So it was just like, yeah, you're the head of that. Sure. Whatever you want.
Spicy.
GTL,
All the drama.
bro.
There's so much drama for a bunch of mafia dudes. Just drama all the time.
Soap opera run on testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
In March of 1952, Albert allegedly ordered the murder of Arnold Schuster, a New York man who successfully identified fugitive bank robber Willie Sutton, resulting in Sutton's arrest. Now, when Albert saw Schuster in a television interview, he allegedly said, quote, "I can't stand squealers. Hit that guy." On March 8th, 1952, a shooter shot Schuster to death on a street in Borough Park, Brooklyn. In 1963, government witness Joseph Valachi accused Albert of ordering the murder, but many people in law enforcement were skeptical of the claim. Once again, no one was ever arrested in the Schuster murder. Even with a witness, he still wasn't convinced, or still wasn't convicted. So on December 9th, 1952, the federal government filed suit to denaturalize Albert and deport him because he lied on his citizenship application. It appears he lied on his original registry paperwork when he didn't list misdemeanor traffic tickets. Technicalities didn't always seem to be in Albert's favor in this case. So we're going to talk about the beginning of the fall of Albert with a conspiracy against him. He's fresh out of boosts. So Genovese wanted to take back control of the Luciano family from Costello, but he had a problem because Albert and Costello, like Abbott and Costello, but with more bullets. It is Albert and Costello, but I was just like, wow. Oh, whoa. Per the FBI, he murdered at least 1,200 and ordered over 10,000.
What? I believe it.
Wow.
Holy shit. That's
I mean, it's a long time, right? He was active for a long time, but jeez. So yeah, Albert and Costello. So in order, what a combo. So I almost wonder if that was kind of like, never mind. So in order to seize control of the Luciano family, which was under which was under the control of Costello, he knew he would have to kill Costello. In an attempt to do this without eliminating Albert, Genovese began to seek out allies. He used Albert's own brutal behavior against him in an effort to win supporters. Genovese began to portray Albert as an unstable killer whose actions would bring about unwanted law enforcement pressure on the entire Cosa Nostra. Genovese pointed out that in addition to Albert's reckless behavior, Albert had also been selling memberships to his crime family for $50,000, which was a violation of commission rules, as we know from your case, right?
Yeah, well,
yeah, and it angered many high-ranking mobsters.
I bet.
Lady in Gray said he was only ever charged for 3 of those, which kind of reminds me of H.H. Holmes. He was only ever charged for 1.
Right.
So, according to Valachi, Albert had been losing large amounts of money betting on horse races, which only made him even more surly and unpredictable. Hence, probably the $50,000 per membership. So, for the next several years, Genovese quietly gathered the support of Albert's capo regime, Carlo Gambino, offering him leadership of the Anastasia family in return for his help. The capo regime is like the family leader who reports to the Don, or the head boss. Genovese also courted the favor of Luciano's friend Meyer Lansky, who was growing increasingly angry with Albert for muscling in on his Cuba casino operations. In addition, Genovese began to plant seeds of doubt with Costello by claiming Albert was planning a move against him. On May 23rd, 1955, Albert pled guilty to tax evasion because, of course, for underreporting income during the late 1940s. I don't know what it is with these guys in taxes. They can afford a decent tax person to hide stuff.
It gets them every time.
Every time. So on June 3rd, 1955, Albert was sentenced to 1 year in federal prison and a $20,000 fine. After his conviction, the federal government succeeded in a petition to revoke Albert's citizenship so he could be deported. But on September 19th, 1955, a higher court reversed this ruling.
Interesting.
Genovese decided to move on Costello in early 57. On May 2nd, 1957, hired gunman Vincent the Chin Gigante.
His last name is Gigante.
who shot and wounded Costello outside of his apartment building.
Oh.
Do you know what Vincent the Chin's problem was?
What?
A glass jaw. Although the scalp wound was superficial, I'm just kidding.
I don't get it.
His chin, glass jaw. I don't. It was bad.
Okay.
I really had to think about that joke, and I really shouldn't have thought about it, and I should have just said something. Should have left that as his name.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Although the scalp wound was superficial, Costello chose to relinquish power to Genovese and retire. He was like, nope, I'm fucking out of it, man. You got it. It's yours.
I'm out of here.
Get out of here. Now, Genovese finally controlled the former Luciano family, now known as the Genovese crime family. Bonanno, ever the peacemaker, later credited himself with arranging a sit-down where he kept Albert from taking Genovese to war in response. Of course you did. It was a perfect deal. It was a great brokered deal. Later in 1957, on June 17th, Frank Scalise, Albert's underboss and the man said to be directly responsible for the selling of Gambino memberships, was murdered. Valachi said that Albert approved the hit as well as the later murder of Frank's brother Joseph for threatening retaliation. Meanwhile, Genovese wanted not just to control the family, but also to control the commission. So he continued pushing his narrative that Albert was increasingly more angry, unreliable, and very unstable. He spread the word that Albert had hired Gigante to shoot and miss Costello. Costello believed this ruse and gave his approval for Genovese to make a move against Albert.
Oh, interesting.
In the end, it was Albert's routine that led to his downfall. As is well known for true crime followers, stalkers, and would-be assassins. That sentence was a mess. As is well known to you all, stalkers and would-be assassins love routines. On October 21st, 1957, after being driven from his home in Fort Lee to Manhattan, Albert entered the barbershop of the Park Sheraton Hotel at 56th Street and 7th Avenue in Midtown. Albert received the exact same services at the exact same time every other day for years at this establishment. He was attended to by his longtime barber, a manicurist, and a shoeshine boy. His driver bodyguard left him unprotected for a few minutes while he ran an errand. Interesting. I guess he had to see a guy about a horse.
Definitely. Uh-oh.
At 10:15 a.m., as Albert relaxed in the barber's chair, two masked gunmen quietly entered the shop. They both drew .38 pistols and waved the men and boys away, causing Albert to open his eyes. He defensively raised his hand towards the men as they opened fire. It's reported after the first volley of bullets that Albert rushed the men, but he was shot in the hand, wrist, and hip, which spun him around. He was then shot in the back, causing him to fall onto the floor at the base of the barber chairs. One of the men walked over and shot a final fatal round into his head. The shooters then left as quickly as they had arrived. No one was ever charged for that murder, but speculation centered on Joe Gallo and his brother, both of the patriarch crime family of Providence, Rhode Island. What's really funny is I read that and I was like, my roommate, freshman and sophomore year, all 4 years, his name was Jeff Gallo. And he was part of the Gallo family, and they lived in Kings Park, Long Island. And so I don't know if there's a connection there, but if there's a connection there, it's interesting. Anyways, it is thought the hit was ordered by Genovese and Gambino. At one point, Gallo had boasted to an associate, quote, "You can just call the five of us the barbershop quintet." Genovese was also known to have strong ties to the Patriarcha boss, Raymond Ellis Patriarcha. According to the New York Times journalist and Five Families author Selwyn Robb, quote, the vivid image of a helpless victim swathed in white towels was stamped in the public memory. Albert's funeral services were held at a Brooklyn funeral home as the Diocese of Brooklyn had refused to sanction the church burial. He was interred in Greenwood Cemetery. Yeah. You know, at that point, it was just like, step out of line. We ain't burying you in our
Even
place.
the Catholics are like, nope. Sorry.
Nope.
Sorry about that.
We're in your pocket, but no, you're not in our cemetery.
Wow.
Really what it was you were too dumb and you got shot, you got caught. Therefore, you're not in a cemetery. You're not smart enough. So he was interred in Greenwood Cemetery in Greenwood Heights, Brooklyn. Only a handful of friends and relatives attended. The grave is marked Anastasio. The following year, his family actually left. They like packed and got the fuck out and immigrated to Canada and changed the family name to Anicio.
Wow.
Yeah. So in terms of some of the trivia, you know, some of the extra stuff, Albert's home, the mansion I was talking about earlier, was a 25-room, 6,529 square foot hilltop mansion in Fort Lee, New Jersey.
What?
You gotta have a place to hide the bodies. I don't know.
How did he afford that? Not from the army, that's for sure.
No.
After World War II, no.
No. So he and his family lived there from 1947 until his murder. In 1958, less than a year after his death, comedian Buddy Hackett and his wife bought the mansion, which I love that so much.
That's amazing.
Because, but if anybody is unaware of Buddy Hackett had the best faces in film. He was a fantastic comedian, and he was in The Love Bug. He was like the car mechanic. Just really funny. He has a great voice, Buddy Hackett. So he bought it, and then they renovated it, and they lived in it for most of 1960s. In December of 2007, Shapoopy. In December of 2017, the mansion sold for $6.9 million and then was sold in 2018 for $3.6 million. I don't know what happened there, but here we are. The house was demolished in March of 2019. The land, right? That's what I said. That's what I said. Why? I mean, other than the fact that it's so big, it's probably unpurchasable in general, but
whatever.
But it has a fantastic view of NYC from New Jersey, and it's listed on Zillow. In addition, actor and former heavyweight boxer Jack O'Halloran claims to be Albert's illegitimate son. After the murders, the barber chairs at the Park Sheraton Hotel were repositioned away from the mirror. The Anastasia chair was later auctioned off for $7,000. In February of 2012, the chair became an exhibit in the Mob Museum in Las Vegas. I just imagine Albert just like up or down, wherever, looking at this auction going, I'm worth way more than that. Like, that's my little toe. In terms of movies, Johnny Friendly, played by Lee J. Cobb in 1954's On the Waterfront, was partially based on Albert. The 1959 film Inside the Mafia opens with the scene of Albert's murder. He's portrayed by Fausto Tozzi in the 1972 film The Valachi Papers. He's portrayed by Gianni Russo in the 1975 film Lepke, starring Tony Curtis. And he's portrayed by Gary Pastore in the 2019 movies The Irishman and Mobtown. Captain saw it. Captain saw the Mafia exhibit in Little Italy.
Cool.
That's cool. That is cool. In terms of television, MASH actually makes a reference to his death, which is really funny because the Korean War had already been over for 4 years when he was killed. Hawkeye, Alan Alda, sarcastically refers to a sleeping soldier as, quote, Albert Anastasia's doorman, which I find so funny. I think that's what Lady in Grey like put as a comment, as in, I'm going to start using this now.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine now. In the TV series The West Wing, Jules Ziegler, the estranged father of White House communications director Toby Ziegler, visits Toby at the White House. Following a query from the Justice Department, Toby asks his father, a former member of Murder Inc., when Albert Anastasia was killed. Jules answers, October 1957, and later tells his son, you should know when Anastasia was killed. And Toby, still angry at his father for having been involved in organized crime, replies, I know when Anastasia was killed. In an episode of The Sopranos, mob boss Junior Soprano tells his nephew, Tony Soprano, that he wishes problems were settled like they were in the 1950s when it was peaceful. Tony replies he remembered seeing the... Right. Tony replies he remembered seeing a picture of Anastasia all amicable on the barbershop floor. There were exceptions, Junior replied.
Does not sound like a peaceful time at all.
No. Rapper Rick Ross entitled his 2010 mixtape The Albert Anastasia EP. And psychedelic rock group St. John Green referenced Albert on the song Shivers of Pleasure on their self-titled album. And then finally, in Mafia 2, which is a video game, Don Alberto Clementi is partially based on Anastasia, particularly his known violations of Mafia code by trying to sell made men. Clementi's death was based on a combination of Anastasia's assassination and the attempted murder of Adolf Hitler at the Wolf's Den. So yeah.
Wow.
Can I tell you that this is the most thorough source list that has ever been for a case? It's like 40 something sources long. Like Lady in Grey was not, as the children say, fucking around when she
it's
she
2 pages, you guys. 2 pages.
It's amazing.
Sources.
But that is Albert Anastasia. If you all are interested, I had mentioned it in the chat, but Bully Coward Victim, the story of Roy Cohn, is on HBO Max to be watched.
Is it? Okay.
It is. The Departed, since we're all talking about
Netflix.
it.
But I don't know.
Yep. I don't know. Yes. It looks like it, provided it opens and says yes. Let's see. Nope. Not right now.
No. It never fails. Every time there's a movie I want to watch that's always on something and I go to watch it, it's not there anymore. Like every single time. Lady in Grey is marvelous.
She is marvelous. Which accent? Dude, which accent?
Oh, I think she
I
wants
don't know which accent you speak of.
Billy Crystal.
Oh, it might be on Apple TV Plus, though.
Well, not
similar
everybody
movies.
has that. That's ridiculous. I'm not getting that for the party.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah. So that's fun times. Okay. I have The Departed on DVD. From SNL? From SNL. Yeah, he really was something. I'll bring up a picture of Albert Anastasia. He looks fascinating.
I want to see a picture of this.
Like I sure don't want to be his friend, but
you're right, that hairline is on point.
Isn't it? Look at
it.
Man. That man's schnoz rivals mine. He should have been called the schnoz.
Well,
man, the fact that dude, he is very unassuming.
He is. Look,
I
wouldn't think that guy's killed hundreds of people. He definitely killed hundreds of people.
What's the name of the movie again? It's hold on. Bully Coward Victim, the story of Roy Cohn.
Yes.
His hair guy was great until he wasn't. Correct, Captain. Correct.
Well, yeah, that's when he died. So,
just despite the 40-ish, 35-ish page total script between us, we still knocked it and we finished under 2 hours.
Yeah, no, that was quite a riveting story. That was
I love
Mafia.
Yeah. I love studying that stuff. I do have a separate case that I did do for Brew Crime that's on the Youngstown Mafia.
Okay.
And that's not a lot of people know about the Youngstown Mafia, but because it's Youngstown, Ohio, but Youngstown was a great place in between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. And so that was a nice go-between.
Murderville, right?
Yeah, Murder Town, USA. Yeah. My parents grew up there. My extended family's in that area. The whole concept, if anybody's ever heard of the phrase Youngstown tune-up, that's Youngstown, and that's a car bomb. So the that's what that means. And then I'm pretty sure the patriarch of my family possibly dated somebody whose father was kind of higher up. Because as the story goes, he went to go pick her up. He went through the back door. It was the 70s. He went through the back door and he heard something about somebody getting cement shoes or something to that degree. And he turned around and walked out. And I'm telling you right now, I know it's true. This is how I know it's true. He still refuses to tell me the name. He refuses to tell me the name of this person. And he is so frightened. Not frightened per se, but like, just like, if this ever gets out. But I was like, yeah. And my dad's not scared of anything, right? He is very good at hiding information, though. Keeping it to himself.
So good. I am not as good. I could never have like high security clearance for anything.
No.
Yeah,
so maybe we'll do like a special episode or something. Maybe we'll do a special episode or something for that. I'll cover the Youngstown Mafia.
That sounds awesome.
If you do want something on the Youngstown Mafia, there's a movie that you can find on YouTube in full called Youngstown Still Standing. And it's really, really interesting. It's about the decline of steel and the mafia and all that kind of stuff. It's cool. Like Ed O'Neill. Do you know Ed O'Neill? Married with Children, Modern Family, etc. He's from Youngstown.
Yes.
Yeah,
Little
he's from Youngstown.
And, in Ohio. I love
correct. Me too. But yeah, so he's from Youngstown, and they actually ended up being able to interview him, and he's got some great stories too. But it's called Youngstown Still Standing. It's on YouTube. It's free. But that's good too. So, anyways, I think that's it. That's all I got. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. we got Women on Death Row. It's a brand new type of Women on Death Row. The production value is higher. We think you will like it more. So 7 o'clock it's going to premiere. And then Sunday, God willing, night court at 8 p.m. will be happening. We look forward to you all joining us at 8 p.m. on Sunday.
Very excited.
So it's a hell of a script. Hell of a script.
You're going to have all the info you need. All the info about
all
true
the
crime.
Info. Everything that happened this week and that's going to happen next week. And then a deep dive and jokes and fun and
so much stuff.
So, I'm going to put on my Stephen Colbert costume. It'll be cool. No, I'm going to do that. I might leave this hat on, though. I'm starting to like it.
I like the hats. We should do more hats. We should be hat people. I don't have very many hats. I'm not a hat person.
I disagree.
Thank you for joining me in unity with the hats tonight.
Of course. All right. Well, Llama, would you like to sign off as you normally do?
Yes. Well, thank you.
Oh, wait, hold on. Pew Pew just gifted another membership. I'm sorry.
Pew Pew Pew. No, that's even better than anything I had to say. It's 100 times better than anything I had to say.
Thank
so
you.
It's fine.
Nan, welcome to the vineyard.
Oh, did that go to Nan? Fantastic, Nan.
That went to Nan.
Welcome.
Awesome sauce.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining us tonight in True Crime and Wine Time. I hope I did Cam's from our True Crime podcast. I hope I did her script justice. But I'm Llama, and so my words for you are go forth and be amazing. And I will see you next Friday for the Hey Ho Show. So where I co-host along with JT and Ryan. So I hope to see you there.
It's going to be a hell of a show. I can tell you that already. It's going to be a hell of a show.
I did mine today.
So. I am halfway done with my sketchy headline, and I'm so excited for it. Oh, anyways, take care of yourself, your friends, your family, and your community. And don't let anybody dull that sparkle. I like that sparkle. Shiny things. ADHD, it's great. Shine on, you crazy diamonds. Shine on. We will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.